Hi, welcome to 5 Minutes of Torah with B.I. Rabbi. I'm Rabbi Stein. I'm standing here in the very cold on Thursday. You can see all this ice and snow around me. Reminds me of that winter 6 months after my wife and I and our kids arrived here in 2016, December and January 2016, 2017. You might remember, side streets were not clear. There was ice all over for weeks. So why am I standing out in the cold in Shaughnessy? Well, the hint is that street sign right there. You may have seen this sign. It's the continuation of, I believe, 22nd Avenue. As you go from 22nd across Oak, it becomes Balfour Avenue. And we're right in Shaughnessy at Ozar. I used to walk by here all the time when I rented a house, two different places, it's Vancouver, at two different times in Shaughnessy. So Balfour, I would walk past and I think, okay, Balfour, whatever. But why is Balfour so special to the Jewish people and to Israelis and those who support the state of Israel? Well, the Foreign Secretary of Britain, 1917, Arthur Balfour, he writes what becomes known as the Balfour Declaration. He writes to Lionel Walter Rothschild, and it says, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. Amazing. So if you think about it, I mean, how many of us read this paragraph again and again over the years? Nothing bad should happen to Jews who live in other countries just because we're helping to create a state for the Jews in what was known as Palestine, but also that nothing should be done to prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. And of course, we've struggled with that for decades since, but this was a wonderful thing, and you get lots of white papers going on after that, in between 1917 and, of course, 1947. But what happens in 1947, and why am I talking about this week? Well, today is the 1st, I believe, of December, and 2 days ago was the 29th of November, Kaf Tet B'November. Kaf Tet B'November, 1947, exactly 75 years ago, was when the UN voted on a plan after England said, we're getting out of this business, we're handing over our mandate, let's let UN take care of it. And the UN had this plan for 2 states in the region, for the Arab population, for Palestinians, and for the Jews. And it was voted on, actually not on the 29th of November. The first vote was on the 25th of November, 25-13 with 17 abstentions. But even though 25-13 sounds great, it was 1 vote short of the 2/3 required majority needed for something like this. So the General Assembly comes back for another vote on the 26th. There's a lot of filibustering, so they postpone it for 3 more days to the 29th. There's a lot of lobbying between the 26th and the 29th. And finally, on the 29th of November, a big vote happens, and they agree, the General Assembly, with 2/3 vote, to create a Jewish state. Amazing. And there were celebrations in the streets. If you talk to Israelis who lived there then, they can tell you how amazing it was, people dancing and singing. And if you've lived in Israel before or just visited in almost any city, especially Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, and I can just remember living in Jerusalem and walking right past this street, you see maybe a Balfour Street, but what I remember is walking right past and living right near Kaf Tet B'November Street. I think it was right in Katamon in Jerusalem. How amazing is that? And why else should we be talking about this week? Well, Jacob, Parashat Vayetze, has his dream right in the beginning of the Torah portion. And what was Israel for Jewish people for 2,000 years, and especially in the past 100 or so years, starting with Herzl? A dream. And he said, it's a dream. That famous line, if you will it is no dream. Well, the dream came true. We've been living it for decades now, It's not a perfect dream. There are many struggles for different expressions of Judaism, for living in some sort of harmony with Palestinians and neighboring states. But it's a dream that we continue to push on with. Shabbat Shalom. Hope to see you at Brazil Shabbat tomorrow night on Friday.